Snow fell softly outside the Grand Cathedral of St. Petersburg, its golden domes gleaming against the pale winter sky. Black cars lined the courtyard, guards in tailored coats patrolling with sharp eyes. Inside, chandeliers glowed above rows of the most powerful guests in the world: business moguls, politicians, mafia allies, and of course, the seven men who had always stood by Jungkook, BTS. But tonight, their leader was not just a mafia boss. He was a groom. The heavy organ music began, echoing through the massive hall. The cathedral doors opened slowly. IN appeared. Her ivory gown trailed behind her, sparkling faintly under the chandeliers. A veil covered her face, but even through the thin fabric, her pale, trembling lips could be seen. She clutched the bouquet so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Her father walked beside her, stiff and broken, his face carved with fear. Every step forward felt like betrayal, yet the gunman in the shadows reminded him he had no other choice. The entire crowd rose. At the stage, Jungkook stood tall in his black tuxedo, the picture of power. His gaze was fixed on her, sharp and unblinking, drinking in the sight of his bride like a predator watching prey. His hands clasped in front of him, but his aura screamed possession. BTS lined the front pews. Jimin's jaw tightened at YN's expression. Hoseok sighed, shifting nervously. Taehyung muttered under his breath, "She looks like she's walking to execution, not marriage." Namjoon elbowed him softly, warning him to stay quiet, but his own eyes were serious. Jin tried to force a smile, whispering, "At least she's breathtaking." Yoongi smirked lazily, though his eyes were sharp, murmuring, "Trust Jungkook to make a wedding feel like a business deal." As YN reached the altar, her father stopped. His throat bobbed as he forced himself to look at Jungkook. With shaking hands, he took his daughter's trembling fingers and placed them into Jungkook's. Jungkook's grip closed instantly, strong, unyielding. His lips curved faintly, almost mocking. "She's yours now," her father whispered, his voice breaking. Jungkook leaned closer, murmuring back with icy calm, "No, she's mine always. From the moment I saw her, Y/N flinched at the words, her father's eyes closing in silent defeat. He stepped back, shoulders slumped. The priest began the ceremony, his Russian accent wrapping around every word. But YN barely heard anything. Her ears rang, her chest tight, her eyes blurring with tears she refused to let fall.
Finally, the vows. Jungkook stepped forward first. His voice was low, commanding, echoing through the hall. "I, Jeon Jungkook, take you, YNLN, to be my wife. Not just in name, not just in law, but in truth, in body, in blood."
Gasps rippled through some guests, but Jungkook didn't care. His eyes burned into YN's, his thumb brushing over her shaking fingers almost mockingly. "You are mine. From this day, until death takes us, and even then, death won't save you from me." YIN's breath caught, her lips trembling under the veil. The priest turned to her. "Do you, YNLN, take Jeon Jungkook as your husband?" Her throat closed. She wanted to scream no. She wanted to run. But her father's eyes were watching, her mother clutching his arm desperately in the front row. Guards lined the walls, weapons visible. And Jungkook's grip on her hand tightened, the silent threat clear. Her voice broke into a whisper. "I do." Jungkook's smirk deepened. The priest declared, "You may now kiss the bride." Before YN could even react, Jungkook ripped her veil back and grabbed her waist, yanking her against him. His mouth crashed onto hers, rough, possessive, bruising. She gasped, trying to push against his chest, but his arm locked like iron around her. His lips moved hard, biting her bottom lip until she whimpered against him. From below the stage, the boys couldn't hold back. Yeah, Jungkook! Jin shouted, voice booming across the hall. Yoongi smirked, arms crossed. Looks less like a kiss, and more like he's eating her alive. The guests laughed nervously, but Jungkook ignored them, lips still pressed against YN's. Hoseok cupped his hands to yell, Hyung! She needs oxygen. Let her breathe. Taehyung shook his head with a half smile, muttering loud enough for people around to hear, he's not kissing her, he's marking her. Like property. Jimin, though, had to be held back by Namjoon, his fists tight as he hissed under his breath. But Namjoon leaned in, whispering, Not here. Don't ruin it for her. Stay calm. Meanwhile, Jungkook finally pulled back, his lips brushing against YN's ear as he growled softly, only for her to hear, Everyone's watching, baby. Don't forget, you belong to me. And when he looked down at his members' teasing faces, Jungkook smirked smugly, squeezing YN's waist even tighter, as if to say what you want. She's mine now. The ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and the soft notes of a live orchestra. Guests mingled, glasses clinked, and laughter echoed. But all YN could feel was Jungkook's hand clamped tightly around hers as he led her down the stage. They took their seats at the grand table right at the center while everyone applauded. YN tried to avoid the spotlight, keeping her eyes lowered, but Jungkook leaned in close, whispering, Smile, angel. They're looking at you. Don't make me remind you. She forced a small, fragile smile. From the table a few rows away, BTS had gathered together, drinks in hand, whispering and snickering among themselves like mischievous brothers. Jin raised his glass dramatically. Well, to our maknae finally growing up. Who knew he'd marry this fast? Yoongi smirked, adding in his lazy drawl. Marry? It looked more like he kidnapped her at the altar. Did you see that kiss? Everyone chuckled except YN, who shifted uncomfortably. Jungkook's jaw twitched. Hoseok leaned forward, voice deliberately loud, Maknae! Be gentle tonight, okay? The way you crushed her lips, I thought we'd need a medic. Taehyung smirked devilishly. If this is how he kisses in front of everyone, imagine what he'll do behind closed doors. The table erupted into laughter. Yoongi added dryly, Honestly, Jungkook, I thought you were eating her face. You should have warned the guests first. Hoseok slapped the table, cackling. Half the hall gasped, bro. One grandma nearly fainted. Taehyung leaned back in his chair, smirking. Kiss of love? Nah, that was a mafia deal being signed. You basically stamped her with your mouth. Namjoon pushed his glasses up, chuckling. You didn't even breathe. Was that your first kiss, or were you trying to set a world record? The teasing kept piling up, guests nearby giggling as they overheard. Jin leaned forward again, whisper shouting, Should we get you a lip balm sponsor? Cookie. You'll need it at this rate. Yoongi hummed. No, better idea. An oxygen tank for YN. She's going to suffocate if he kisses like that every day. Hoseok wiped fake tears, laughing so hard. Someone call the Red Cross. The bride's gonna need medical attention before the honeymoon even starts. Taehyung raised his glass like a toast. To Jungkook, the only man who can turn a wedding kiss into a hostage negotiation. Taehyung raised his glass like a toast. To Jungkook, the only man who can turn a wedding kiss into a hostage negotiation. Namjoon, between chuckles, tried to look serious. All jokes aside, you might want to tone it down, Kook. It didn't look like romance. It looked like you were warning everyone not to touch what's yours. Jimin, who had been quiet, finally snapped, his voice cutting sharper than the laughter, because that's exactly what it was. He wasn't kissing her, he was threatening her. The laughter died instantly. The table went silent. The shift so sudden, it was like the music itself had stopped. Jungkook's gaze snapped to Jimin, cold and sharp. For a moment, no one breathed. Then Jungkook's lips curled into a smile that didn't touch his eyes. He set his glass down slowly. "Hyungs," he said smoothly, but his voice carried steel underneath. "Drink, tease, joke about me all you want. But don't ever question how I treat my wife. Not here, not anywhere." His stare pinned Jimin like a blade. "Especially not you." The tension was thick, unspoken threats crackling in the air. Yoongi, unfazed, broke it with a low chuckle. "Possessive little brat. Careful, or people might think you're insecure." The others laughed again, lighter this time, trying to ease the weight in the air. But Jungkook didn't laugh. He just downed his drink in one gulp, his jaw ticking. From across the hall, YN sat with his parents-in-law, unaware of the storm brewing just a few tables away. The reception hall had thinned out, but BTS refused to let Jungkook leave quietly. Jin waved at him with a mischievous grin. "Drive safe, Romeo. And maybe this time, kiss like a husband, not like you're starting a wrestling match." Yoongi smirked. "If the car shakes too much, we'll know why." Hoseok laughed loud enough to make nearby guests turn their heads. "Mak, Nea, don't make her cry again. Bring tissues this time." Yoongi smirked. "If the car shakes too much, we'll know why." Hoseok laughed loud enough to make nearby guests turn their heads. "Mak, Nea, don't make her cry again. Bring tissues this time." But Jimin stood back silently, his eyes following YN's pale, trembling face. She wouldn't meet anyone's gaze. Jungkook only smirked coldly at his members, pulling YN closer into his side. "Laugh all you want. At the end of the night, she's mine. That's all that matters." And with that, he led her out, his guards forming a wall around them. Two sleek black cars waited outside. In the first car, Jungkook's parents sat together, their posture elegant but cold. They nodded briefly as the guards opened the doors for them. The second car was for the bride and groom. YN hesitated, her voice soft. Can I sit with them?" Jungkook's fingers tightened on her wrist immediately. His dark eyes flicked down at her, a silent warning. Without a word, he pushed her into the back seat beside him, climbing in right after. The door shut, sealing her fate. The car rolled forward, the glow of city lights painting fleeting shadows across Jungkook's sharp jaw. Y/N pressed herself against the window, clutching her hands together tightly, praying for silence. But silence never lasted long with Jungkook. His hand moved to her lap, slow and deliberate. His thumb stroked the silk of her dress, sliding higher toward her thigh. A/N stiffened, whispering, "P- please, don't." He leaned closer, lips brushing her ear. His voice was low, dangerous. "Don't? After what happened tonight, after the entire world just saw you become mine?" Before she could reply, his mouth descended on her neck, hot and wet. He licked the sensitive skin slowly, then bit down just enough to make her gasp. His chuckle rumbled darkly against her. I/N whimpered, tears burning her eyes. She turned her face away, but his grip only grew firmer. "Cry louder," Jungkook mocked, his hand squeezing her thigh harder. "Maybe my parents in the car ahead will hear you. Maybe the guards outside will know exactly what I'm doing to you." Her sobs spilled out, muffled as she tried to cover her mouth. "Huh." Jungkook kissed her jaw, rough and unrelenting. "My own brothers teased me today. They laughed at me. You know what that means, YN?" N. She shook her head desperately, voice breaking. No. It means, he growled, teeth grazing her skin, that I'll make you mine so completely, they'll never dare laugh again. The car slowed as the mansion gates loomed ahead, tall and imposing, swallowing them whole. Jungkook finally pulled back, wiping a stray tear from her cheek. Not with gentleness, but with a cruel sort of ownership. Fix your face, he ordered coldly. My parents are waiting. They don't need to see what I've already started. The car stopped. The guards opened the door. YN stumbled slightly, but Jungkook's firm grip kept her upright, forcing her to walk beside him as if nothing had happened.